thank you for joining us for today's live session on the Mental Health and Addiction Support Worker Certificate at Ashton College. My name is Christy, and I'm the Student Success Coordinator here. I'm pleased to be joined today by Nadia Tajdin, one of our instructors for this program. In this session, we'll explore Nadia's background and experience, discuss the structure and highlights of the program, talk about the skills that are essential in the field, and the kinds of career opportunities that are available after graduation. Feel free to submit your questions using the chat or Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. We'll get to as many as we can during the Q&A portion at the end. If you'd like more information about the program, how to apply, or Ashton College in general, you'll find helpful links in the resource section or in the video description if you're watching the recording later on YouTube. So let's get started. Nadia, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Of course.
I'd like to begin by asking you to tell us a little bit about your career journey, what inspired you to do this career path, and how your education prepared you for it.
Sure. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me today. So, I've always been passionate about mental health and making sure people feel genuinely supported in a person-centered way. And I think that's what really led me into this field. My background is in rehabilitation and personal support work, and I also hold a master's in public health and dementia studies. So over the years, I've had a chance to work in a variety of roles from clinical education in long-term care settings to home care to community-based supports where I had the privilege to work with so many amazing team members and clients and people around those areas. And now teaching has given me an opportunity to really share what I've learned and help future students or future support workers build the skills and the confidence that they need to make a real impact.
Wonderful. How would you describe the mental health and addictions support worker field and the type of work professionals in this area typically do?
So, the mental health and addiction support worker field is really dedicated to supporting individuals experiencing mental health challenges and addictions, and often extending support to family members and the communities affected. Professionals provide compassionate, trauma informed care. And it's really about building that trust and advocacy to help clients navigate sometimes really complex systems like healthcare and housing and social services. They also respond to crisis and connecting individuals to appropriate emergency or ongoing care.
Wonderful. That's good to know. I've always wondered like the different areas that there are in it because when someone says mental health and addiction support worker, everyone's mind goes someplace a little bit different. And so it's great to hear what typically happens and what the different professionals do in this area.
Right. And what's great about the whole field is that it's so very unique. There's no 2 days that are exactly the same. And I think that's what makes this field so dynamic. And I know a lot of professionals in the field really enjoy that part of it because we're always learning something new. There's always something new to kind of navigate. And it's a really, really interesting field.
Wonderful. Can you walk us through what students can expect from the mental health and addiction support worker program at Ashton College?
Sure. So the program really equips students with the knowledge, the theory, as well as the hands-on experience to support individuals facing mental health and addiction challenges. We cover intervention strategies, we cover ethics, communication, trauma-informed care, crisis management, community resources, mental health influences. We talk about youth and older adult care and stigma and workplace and school mental health. Students engage in case study analysis. We look at the history of mental health in Canada, and we study policies at a local, national, and international level. And it's all
Mm.
offered very flexibly. We have synchronous and asynchronous learning as well.
Wow, that is very interesting. That just makes me think too, like, what you're learning for, say, mental health with a teenager is not the same as mental health for, say, their grandparent.
Exactly, exactly.
You
And
know,
it's good to really be able to really understand that sometimes that when we're looking at the lifespan, how we talk to one person is very different from the way we'll talk to somebody else. So really understanding those demographics as well as
Mhm.
all the other cultural differences that we have across Canada and really trying to understand all those components.
Hmm. What part of the program do you think students enjoy or benefit from the most?
Um, I think what students will benefit from the most is the program's focus on person-centered care and mental health awareness. We also use a lot of reflective practice. So the reflective component of the program is something that I find really meaningful as it encourages everyone to pause and think critically about their own experiences, their own values, and the way that they respond to different situations. So, through these reflections, we are able to deepen our own self awareness and gain insight into our own strengths and areas of growth and what kind of support workers that we aspire to be. And these reflections aren't just academic exercises. They become tools for personal transformation and they help students really build that emotional intelligence and develop that empathy and stay grounded in the realities of the work. And I'm going to give a little bit of an example so you can see a little bit of how I teach in my class. So I'm going to ask, Christy, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want all of our participants here in the chat to answer this question.
Okay.
How do you like your coffee?
I enjoy a double double.
A double double. Perfect.
Hmm.
I like my coffee black. So
Okay.
actually I used to be a double double, and for a longest time, and then all of a sudden my taste changed, I guess, and now I drink my coffee black. I would love to see in the chat if anybody wants to put in how they like their coffee. Oh, I see a few answers coming in. We have zero sugar creamer. We have black with Splenda. Oh, black with Splenda too. We have two of
Okay.
them. That's great. Like your coffee half and half. Okay, so as you can see, we all pretty much like our coffee a little bit different. So we are all different on how we like our coffee, or if we don't like coffee at all, maybe we're tea drinkers, maybe we don't like any caffeine. So this makes us all very unique on how we express ourselves and how we can relate that back to how we treat our clients will be very unique and how we want to make sure that we are person-centered, thinking about everyone very individualistically. All right, thank you so much for doing that. I do want to conclude that little activity that we do, and I do that in class because there's no copy paste in this field. What works for one person or one community doesn't always work for the next person or community. And again, you will hear me say this a lot in class. It's important that we take in each individual experience and perspective to provide the best person-centered, community-centered care. And again, we'll talk about this a lot within the program.
Wonderful. That kind of leads into my next question of how do you approach teaching and what can students expect in terms of the classroom dynamics? Like, are you playing games? What are you doing? It
Well,
sounds
you know what?
interesting.
We'll talk a lot about coffee, I guess. So that's kind of like my teaching style. I do a lot of reflective questions and relate that back. into what we're discussing. My teaching style is really collaborative. I think it's very discussion based. I try to foster this safe space where students can ask questions and share their perspective. We focus a lot on applied learning, so including scenarios and group work and reflection. And given the diverse backgrounds and locations of students, we really emphasize learning from each other's experiences and strengths. My favorite part of the program is seeing the personal and professional growth that happens in students as they move through the different courses. It's incredibly rewarding to watch students build their confidence and develop their voice and begin to truly understand the impact that they can have as support workers. I do especially love the moments when students connect theory to real life scenarios, whether it's through case studies or discussions, and they realize how powerful compassionate, informed support can be.
Hmm, nice, thank you. What kind of commitment should students prepare for in terms of their study hours or their workload?
Right. So students should expect to dedicate about maybe 3 to 5 hours per week outside of class for some readings and assignments and discussions and reflection questions. We do a lot in class, but there will be some that students will do afterwards and come back to class and for us to discuss.
Okay. Let's see, what else can we go to here? What type of roles or even industries do our graduates from the program usually enter into?
So a lot of the students that I've had work now in crisis centers or groups homes or rehabilitation programs. Some work that are maybe more interested in youth mental health support, work in youth centers and community outreach organizations, and some have started working in education as well. Some pursue further studies as well in social work or psychology or counseling. A lot of people
Mhm.
also that those that focus more on addictions work in addiction support centers as well.
Is this type of job something that people are doing more in office, or are they still offering things like this remotely? Do you
I
know?
think it depends on the organization. I know telehealth and technology, because we're able to kind of work with people maybe in rural communities as well. There are some
Mhm.
organizations that do a lot more remote telehealth support, but it really depends on the organization, I find.
Understandable. What personal traits or professional skills do you think contribute most to success in this field?
So, success requires just passion for learning and personal growth and adaptability and resilience. Having those communication skills that we'll talk about in class is important, and also setting boundaries and healthy boundaries and prioritizing self care is really essential for a support worker role to maintain our own well being and provide effective support. I often use the oxygen mask analogy. So when we are on an airplane, we are asked to put the oxygen mask on ourselves before we help others around us. And so it's so important to take care of ourselves to then better help those around us.
Of course, self-care is very important, and I find that, like, in this day and age, even more so, people are becoming more aware that to be better in all aspects of their life, they need their self-care. So that's great that we have this.
Mhm.
In your view, what sets this program apart as a pathway into the mental health and addiction support field?
So this program really offers a strong foundation, not only in theory, but also practical skills within this learning environment. We really talk about that history. We really talk about mental health and addictions in Canada. And we emphasize that person-centered care, trauma-informed approaches to really help with those communication skills. So when you are out there when you are doing your practicum, you do have a good foundation to start learning and growing as a professional in the field.
Mhm. And in your view, what sets this program apart as a pathway, like with Ashton College in general? What sets us apart compared to some of the other schools?
I think having that practicum
Mhm.
experience is a great thing to have. I know a lot of the students, when they get their practicum, note that this is where they're going. They get so excited because they're really able to apply those skills into into their real life. And I think being able to bring theory into the real life experience is really important.
Mhm. And can you tell us how has this profession evolved over time, and what has stood out for you personally?
So that there's definitely greater awareness and
Mhm.
acceptance around mental health and addictions today. And we're seeing a real shift towards trauma informed harm reduction and culturally safe care. Language plays a huge role in this. So we're moving away from labels and instead using person-centered language that respects people for who they are, not just their diagnosis. And this is a culture change that I've seen in the last few years. So for example, instead of saying addict, we now say a person living with a substance use disorder. And it may seem small, but it makes a big difference on how people feel seen and respected. Also, I know we talked a little bit about this earlier, but technology like telehealth and virtual care, it has expanded access and transformed support delivery. So when you are out there in the field, you might get more access to people that maybe don't have access or haven't had access to mental health support before because of their location. So that is things that have changed, I think, or what I've seen have changed, or how mental health
Mhm.
field has evolved over time.
Great. Thank you. What challenges do students typically face during the program, and how can they overcome them?
So sometimes we find that some students may or haven't been in school in a while, so getting back into the routine of getting assignments done and getting quizzes done. But we're really flexible to assist with that, making sure everybody has enough time to get those assignments done, that support that they need to maybe start writing again, start ensuring that they're able to reference and all that kind of stuff. So we do these little training sessions within the class just to prepare everyone to make sure that they're fully supported
Mhm.
as they continue on these courses.
Nice. I've got one here in the chat. It says, in terms of practicum, I know this can be a touchy subject, but a lot of colleges require you to be vaccinated for certain things. Or it would be, does this apply to this certification? So I can answer that we do need to have vaccination status, everything up to date for the private and public healthcare sector in order for our students to go out on practicum. So if you need to know more information about what exactly those vaccinations would be, you can email me personally. It's studentsuccess@ashtoncollege.ca. Or if you have admission questions, you could speak to somebody in the admissions department as well. So getting back to our questions here, we've got, are there any misconceptions about this field that you'd like to clear up?
Um, Well, one common misconception is that this work is just about, I'm going to put it in quotation, fixing people. In reality, it's about supporting individuals and supporting
Mhm.
their strengths and respecting their journeys and advocating for their rights, not about curing or labeling. So we're really looking at the perspective of the person and what works for that person. And again, there's no copy paste. So working with each individual and seeing what works for them.
And we have another question here. They want some details of the synchronous and asynchronous studies. Are you able to go into that a little bit more?
Sure. So we have, and maybe you can help me out if I missed something
Mhm.
here. So
Okay.
we have synchronous courses that are live online. So I have a class with you for about 3.5, 4 hours, and we go through a lot of the lectures together, a lot of the in-class assignments together. And then we have asynchronous courses where I do the recordings and you watch it on your own time, and then you fill out all of the assignments that we have and send that into me. I don't know, Christy, do you want to expand on that a little bit if I missed
Oh,
something?
that is correct. Yeah, that's correct. If you're interested in the synchronous, then you would want to speak to the admissions team to find out what the hours are. If it's a morning class or an evening, it's going to depend on which program you're going into and what the schedule is for that term. So our next question would be, how can you help students build their confidence before going out in the workforce?
And I think that it's all involved in our program. So just working through a lot of case-based scenarios really help. Just talking about what could happen. Let's think about what are the next things that we can do, and I think that helps really understand different situations, but also understand that things can change and we need to be ready for different scenarios that could happen in real life. So I think just talking through a lot of what could happen and really having that understanding about different mental health challenges and those medications and those treatment plans so we can be as ready as we can be when we do go out there in the field. And I think that really builds that confidence of the knowledge around the whole
Mhm.
area of the whole field.
Yeah, and then I find that, like, when our students go out on the practicums,
Yeah.
like, I'm there to support them, they've got their hosts, but,
Mhm.
I'm sure that the instructors are still there if they need to talk to. And so from your side of things, what kind of supports are available for the students?
So the students can email me anytime. I have my email is always full with students asking questions and wanting to
Mhm,
understand maybe a few different things, especially when they are in the practicum scenario or practicums and want to kind of bring out some things that we learned about in class. So I am always available to assist if needed and throughout the course and throughout the practicum as well. So students are always welcome to connect with me anytime.
nice. And I do know that a lot of our students also create group chats and they talk to each other because our classes are so small. So they may have like a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group. So that's nice that they can get that additional support from their peers. And then if they need help, of course, from the Student Success Center or the admissions or student services, we're all there to help them along the way through emails, phone calls, that sort of thing. So,
And just to add to that, I love how because our class sizes are really great sizes, and just
mhm,
to have that community within the students is really great. So being able to learn from each other, talk to each other, support each other, and
mhm,
everybody is in different parts of Canada, so it's really nice to just have that
yes.
connection with your classmates.
Mhm. And are there opportunities for advancement in this career path? And if so, what might they look like?
Yeah, so there is so much you can do. You can go back to school and go into social work or psychology or education. There's so many different aspects of work when you're working in a long-term care or different care settings. There's so many different departments that you can look into as well. Starting off maybe in that support worker role and going into some other areas if you're interested, but there is a lot of the ability to advance yourselves within the field.
Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Um, I guess I just wanted to say that if you're passionate about making a meaningful difference in people's lives, this program offers all of that, offers the knowledge and the skills and the support to launch a career in mental health and addiction support. And the field is growing, the field is evolving, and it's full of opportunity for those of you that are committed to compassionate and individualized care. So we hope to see you.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. It's always so valuable for prospective students to hear directly from an instructor to get a feel for what the program is like and a better understanding of what it's really like to work in the mental health and addictions field. So if you are interested in the mental health and addiction support worker certificate program and want to take the next step, feel free to scan the QR code that will be coming up on your screen shortly. Thank you again to everyone that has joined us today. We hope that you found the session helpful, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon.